What's up, people? It's Thursday. Always good to see you here. GoldBoys channel, OddsShopper, Twitter, and we'll tell you all about what's going on both sides here. That's Brad Thomas at Mr. Brad Thomas at shanderbets here, and it's a weird time right now. Weird is always, I think, a lot of times associated with something negative. I don't necessarily always do that, Brad. Like weird, strange, peculiar doesn't always have to be as far as a negative because it could just be different, could just be even a little bit unique. We've got baseball coming to a close, but still there's some very impactful games around the board here. We've got college football, which is like this massive, not even an appetizer, more than a platas, if you will, more like two separate main courses thrown at you. And throughout all of this, I don't know how you do it, is a sport that never seems to freaking stop at all. Like, is there ever a time in your life where or during the calendar year where you're not betting a soccer game? Because it feels like every single day there is some soccer content pumped out of you on Twitter or somewhere else.
I think I get like a 2-week break, maybe.
That's it?
Yeah, because the soccer season ends, but when when the Big Five leagues end, you have like a week or two until the
Got
smaller
it.
leagues start back up, and then sometimes in that time you have international break where there's a major tournament, and you're like, well, that sucks.
I figured that since the world is a pretty big place, right? If anybody's new to it and watching the show, there's always a climate in which there's an opportunity to play soccer, right? It's
Yep.
not like here where you're stuck during off seasons, what have you. There's no real off, and as popular as the sport is around the world. So I figured if anybody is mining third league Mexican to like second tier China to like, somewhere in Europe, it's you.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Like, but it's funny. Like, I'll tell like everyone in Discord, like when we're playing these smaller leagues, you have to manage expectations. I'll do like quarter unit, half unit bets because there's a massive like talent difference, and eh, worse players are more unpredictable. So
Got it, man. Got it. Just curious, because I wanted to throw something at you. We'll get a player or two out here, but I actually, and again, it's just because of OddsShopper, and I knew that I got a pretty good price off of it. So I figured, all right, it's plus EV. The number is there. Let me throw it at Brad on the show and see what he thinks. And again, just because a play is plus EV on OddsShopper, we had this convo with Finesse all the time. It was like, just because there's a play that's plus EV doesn't mean you have to bet it by
yeah,
any means. Like you can look at it and be like, no, you don't have to bet anything. With that said, we've got a couple of things to look at. I'm excited here. I got some college to throw at you, my friend. Got NFL futures play that I want to throw at you with this pretty cool angle that I came across reading. But and look, I'm sure Eric Lindquist will pop in here at some point. He's a very busy man, not as busy as Brad. So that's the problem, right? Like normally I could say, man, Lindy is mad busy and it's okay that he's a little bit late, but look who I'm talking to, right? You've got 5 other shows after this one. So no excuses. No excuses.
busy is good. Busy is good, and I think the
Right.
more busy I become, the
But he
better I
can't use
am
that
at
as an
handicapping.
excuse.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Well, that's good since you've got 15 things going on just today. So let's jump into it, man. Straight is here producing as always. If you're watching on the Gold Boys YouTube channel, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe here. This is an ever growing community on YouTube with content that directly comes from the guys that are out there capping in the Discord. It is just amazing. Every day, somebody else is doing something special. And that's not even like the JD category of whatever the hell he's hitting on these massive parlays. You will find Brad in there as well. So absolutely. And if you're following on Twitter at OddsShopper. All right, man, let's bring up the big board, see what we got today here across the board. Why don't you take first stab at it and see where we can make some money?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go in a game tonight. UNC versus Minnesota. I'm taking Minnesota money line plus 110. I do think this is gonna be a fun, interesting game either way because there's just gonna be so much difference, right? Minnesota now has a quarterback who actually knows how to throw the ball. They have a three-headed monster, um, but the main starting running back Taylor might be out, but that's fine. They got Marcus Major from Oklahoma. um, they have 4 returners on the offensive line. Defensive line's good against North Carolina, who have to replace Drake May. replace Jake May. Yeah, there's no doubt that Omarion Hampton is an absolute stud, right? But he's running behind a pretty poor offensive line, and North Carolina's defense is not good enough to play a possession-based game, and what I mean by that is they can't just slow the pace of the game down and think they're just gonna lean on Hampton because their defense is really poor. Also helps that this is in Minnesota. Uh, PJ Fleck's numbers as a if you want to take the 3, if you want to take the points, his numbers as a home underdog are pretty good. It's even since 2017, 17 wins, or 21 wins, excuse me, and 15 losses against the spread as a home underdog, which is pretty cool. I liked getting the plus 110. Felt a little bit better than a coin flip advantage Minnesota, so we took it there.
Yeah, man. I'm not going to add much to that outside of, I guess, how I played it more so than anything, and that's simply just using it as my DK boost, right? Like I was looking at and I know that you lose some guys, I understand that, but and Mac Brown, like there's this big ATS thing that people are coming in as far as like week 1 with Mac Brown, but I'm sorry, I'm not buying that when you look at the talent on the field. It has to correlate as
Yep,
well, and I think that you brought up a ton of matchups here, or that clearly favor Minnesota. So what we can do straight on the fly is make my second pick this pick. And the only major difference here, and you can do this with Brad, and I'll give Brad the credit because he went first, but I bumped this up to plus 179 with the points. So you've got the
that's
money
nice.
line at plus 108. Look at that at DK. If you want to tail Brad, go ahead and do that. Look, with overtime, things change. 2 isn't necessarily a full on key number by any means, but if I'm getting 2 points at plus 179 in this matchup, that's the boost. It's 100% profit boost if you can get that on DK. You're probably going to be cap limited, whatever, depending on where you are along your betting journey. But I'm doing that. I'm absolutely doing that. So it would be Minnesota +2 at plus 179. I think you have the option of doing either, and I'd be shocked. I also took it at even money. I think it's moved a little bit, maybe up to plus 105. Maybe it's back somewhere. But Minnesota first half, anything in the plus territory to win the first half outright, I think absolutely correlates with what you laid out in the game plan and how UNC, North Carolina, can get kind of taken aback and start a little bit slow enough to where they at least lose the first half. And that ultimately is why they lose the game.
Yep, I like that.
Cool. Cool. On board with that. Perfect. Perfect. Look at this. We're moving here.
All right, I'll go with pick.
Let's,
Oh,
yep.
go ahead.
Your turn, man. Sorry.
All right, I'll go pick number 2. I'm really excited for this game. I think there is a lot of hype around this West Virginia team. Those who don't know, I'm a West Virginia alum. I did grad school at West Virginia, so I would be really happy that this would get the hype that it deserves. But I can't take the points there. I actually kind of afraid that if this number keeps going too low, you have to take Penn State. But I am taking Garrett Green. Garrett Green, his difference maker is his legs. I'm taking him over 42.5 rushing yards. It was funny. They played last time. Last time they played, he ran the ball for 71 yards. Penn State last year, the leader in tackles for losses and sacks. They did get to him 3 times, and in college that counts against you, which stinks. But luckily, he still hit over this number while taking 3 sacks. If he wants to be the difference maker, it will be with his legs. So Garrett Green over 42.5 rushing yards.
I love that, man. That's fantastic. And I didn't know you went to West Virginia.
I did. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So
I did grad school there.
there is this weird, again, I use that term. There is this vocal. How about that? They're friends because they work in local media here. But
Yeah.
there's like 6 or 7 guys in Philly that work locally and do different things in media that all went to West Virginia at different times, if you will. But it's even like the guy who hosts the number one drive time show in Atlantic City. Like he's a West
Yeah.
Virginia guy as well. It's
That's cool.
wild, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't. Okay, okay. It,
I
I'm
I put
shocked
the I
because
put the West Virginia helmet behind me for college football season.
look at that. Okay, give us your. Speaking of radio hack, this is like the worst radio bit that you can do. Give us your Mount Rushmore of West Virginia alum. Because I
Oh
went
my
to Gettysburg. So we've got one guy, Paul Smith, who was on ESPN one year because I think it was like 2000 or 1998 or something, where he was on
Yeah.
ESPN because he set the Division III all-purpose yard record. So that's the only buzz we've ever gotten. Who's it? Amos Zaraway? Who are you going to give me here?
Jerry West?
Okay. Well, I was going to go football, but that's fine.
Oh. I was just going all together. Pat White. Um, this is tough. This is tough. I would have to do my homework a little bit more.
I was gonna say, feel free to cheat. Like, if you want to Google right now,
All
nobody's
right.
gonna hold it against you. I know you are as sharp and as serious of a capper as it gets, and you don't want this to look bad or anything along those lines. It won't, brother. It won't. We know that everybody has to check stuff all the time, so it's all good, my friend.
Oh man, I cannot believe I forgot Gino.
There you go. Yeah.
Gino, yep, he's
Yep.
got to be up there. Oh man, this is sick. You know, it's
Gino
funny,
put in work in West Virginia.
dude. He was like, I thought he was going to be the revolutionary
Yeah.
football player, and then I'm glad he got his little bounce back, right?
Me
Like
too.
he's
Me
doing pretty
too.
good right now. This is
I
fun.
when I worked for NBC, I did that show with Amani Toomer, and we were at
Yeah,
the Super Bowl, the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl, where the lights went out in New Orleans. And that was Gino's incoming rookie year. Like, he was about to be a rookie. And he sat down and he was just like, his whole demeanor was the perfect definition of confident, not arrogant. And Amani, who just he hated everybody, me included,
yeah,
right? He was just like, this dude, he's got it. Like, he understands. And I think, to your point, you have to have that in order to have a bounce back. Like, a lot of
yeah.
guys go through what he went through and didn't have, and maybe internally crumbled or didn't have that like bounce back. Okay. Who's the other? Anybody other than Amos?
Who'd I say?
You're
I
not
said
going to give me Zaraway?
Bruce Irvin. It's a good one.
Okay.
Wait,
That's a great one.
I loved watching Will Greer play for West Virginia because that's when like everyone's like West Virginia's back. They're back to being a competitive team, and then they sucked, and then Neil Brown was in over his head. But now he's got a extension laying in front of him after a 9-win season. They're predicting he might win 9 games again or better. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yep.
It's gonna be funny because I'm going to the UCF game while UCF's up there, and it'll be cool to go up there, eat, drink, and be merry because there that's all there is to eat, drink, and watch football.
Exactly right. Dante Culpepper, right? UCF's
Dante
finest.
Culpepper. Actually, I got a throwback UCF jersey just in the mail. It's pretty sick. The old
Oh man,
school gold with the horrible logo.
was it? I don't think it was Culpepper. Maybe it was. Who was deadly in college football? This is not the revival, right? Like, this is maybe a couple of years before the game died. So you got to go back a little bit. But was there somebody else that came in that was also carving, not on
Qu-
his level, maybe, but also
Quarterback
who?
or
Yeah, quarterback. Why am I blanking on who that was?
before or after?
I believe it was after Culpepper.
Bortles
Was it? No, I don't think it
or
was
Mackenzie
Bortles.
Milton?
No,
So
maybe it was
before then,
Culpepper. Maybe
what?
you were carving with Culpepper. Who was it?
Yeah, I was it before. It was before those two guys I just mentioned?
So I know it was after. It was definitely after Culpepper. I can't tell you before or after anybody else. I just know it was. My thought it was, unless it was like you could play a retro UCF team, but I doubt that would be the case because Culpepper would barely be like a rookie or second year player in the NFL. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I'll look it up. That's my homework. How about
No,
that?
no. I mean, you think Culpepper and then Mackenzie Milton, Blake Bortles are probably like the 3 best quarterbacks to ever play at
Yeah, so
UCF.
it had to be that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I got my second pick coming up. Let's do this straight. Let's give some people what they want, an opportunity to jump in on the Gold Boys channel again here on the YouTube as well as the Odd Shopper Twitter. We'll be back in 30. plays between us that we have. Let me grab you my second play since I think looking at the Minnesota game, we were both lock stock in there. I've got Jacksonville State, and I think it's at 2.5 if you wanted to look at like Fliff or something to that extent, but I think it's mostly moved at 3. This will go at 3.5 at some books. It's moving as we speak. It's not going to go back down to 3. If anything, it's going to keep going up. And look, I get it. You know, you look at the transfer portal for Jacksonville State, and it's not pretty, yet they still rank 29th, I saw, as far as guys coming back. Coastal has been gutted. Their quarterback, who did all the damage last year in this game in which Jacksonville State was blown out. They're at home laying the 2.5 to 3. Again, 3, it's more like 3.5 here. And they are so comfortable running the football, which they did in that beatdown that they suffered still against Coastal last year. So there's some revenge factor. I know that it's tricky backing a guy like Rich Rod. I don't want to go through a ton of ATS trends, what have you here, because there is some turnover. But I'm going to take him at 2.5, 3, depending on the best number that you can still bet, depending on the state in which you live. But I like them to cover and probably closer to a 6.5 point finish here. Not to say that they roll them by any means, but I think the changeover for what Coastal lost is going to be a little bit more difficult. Again, I'm not saying that Jacksonville State didn't lose anybody,
Yeah.
quarterback, what
No, I
have you,
understand.
but I just think that the ultimate loss for Coastal, I think, is the greater sum here for them.
Yep. Gonna be transition here for Coastal. I mean, I like this Jacksonville State team. They'll give you a crap ton of headaches during their games, but I can get down with it.
You've watched them.
The
You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I watched Jacksonville State a lot.
All right, so here we go. Here's the thing for me that I would say as I move a little bit tighter. Brad, because we've got one more message to send everybody, but 2 plays between us. Brad, you there? You can go.
Oh, I thought you were going to commercial. My bad. My bad. Yeah, my
No, no,
last
no, no. We just did. That's my fault. That's my fault.
no, that's
I
cool. That's
jumped the
cool.
commercial because we were talking for a minute, and I wanted to make sure any management, what have you, that was watching on either side was, not going to be upset.
My last play, Georgia -13. Might be up to 13.5 now. Some places I got it when it was -13, -105 against Clemson.
Yep.
Georgia's gonna be scary this year because Georgia elite wide receiver core, elite offensive line, elite secondary. I'm not gonna get to quarterback play first, but I want to talk about that. Their weakness, defensive line. They're they're gonna make improvements under Kirby Smart. They're not gonna have a weak defensive line back to back years. Um, and why I say this is because I don't think Clemson can match up well. You have a
Right.
Clemson team who's going to struggle, I think, through the air. Not very explosive through the air either. And they're playing in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, neutral site, but it's Atlanta, Georgia. And so for me, now we talk about the quarterback play for Georgia. Top 3 in just about every major statistical category in terms of efficiency and explosiveness for that team. Number 3 in EPA per play in the pass. I mean, EPA per play. Number 2 in EPA per play through the air. Number 1 in explosive play rate.
Mm.
It's just going to be tough, right? The Bulldogs are going to jump on them, and I think Kirby Smart's going to be a little aggressive throughout the year. Because what happened with Georgia, we kind of noticed this throughout the year, is they struggled to kind of get out of first gear until it was too late. Then they play Alabama and they're like, shoot, we need to get out of first gear and we can't. So I think he's going to have his boys humming. You remember those locker room videos that used to come out about Kirby Smart cursing
Yep.
everybody out? I think
Yep.
that Kirby's going to come back.
I love that. I'm a little surprised that at 13 is still out there, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I
I
don't
think it'll be
know.
I think it will be 14 before kick on Saturday
That's a
because
good
we're
look.
creeping. I'm trying to load my lines up, but it froze. We're creeping into that 13.5. That's -110, 15. I mean, -115 now. Let's see.
Right. Right. No,
Yep,
I think that's a good look.
-115 now at most shops. There's already some 14s ESPN Bet, Bally's, Bet Rivers already moved to 14s, but you could still get 13.5 at almost every shot.
Yeah, that's insane. 13 right now, if you can get, and is ridiculous. 13 and a half before 14, as Brad mentioned. That's absolutely going to hit 14. I would imagine it closes there. It's not going to go through. I mean, look, if it goes through it and you get it at 13, you look like an absolute genius. But that's why Brad's here, right? To make you look smart. Definitely not going to be me.
Yeah.
Before we go, and my last play, which is not going to take long, I bet this at plus 125. It's a noon, no, 12:30 Eastern start on Saturday. I couldn't pick this guy out if he fell on me. Mohamed Kudus to have two or more shots, not on goal, just to have two or more shots plus 125. Do you like it? That's all I need to know. And
um,
why would be ideal, but if you like it.
uh, no, I don't like it.
Okay. Give me your
Number
biggest
one,
reason why this stinks out loud.
I have them projected 6 shots in the game. I have Thomas Socek, 2 of them. There's only 4 shots left.
Yeah.
Um,
You like the number at least. I mean, you
yeah, I
have
like
to
the
like the
number.
number at
I
plus
like the number.
125.
I like the
Okay.
number, and I think it's going to be like if West Ham score in this game, it's going to be on 3 shots. I
Got
don't
it.
like 6 is like generous because they're at home.
Got it. Okay. Look,
I did my I could give you my projections for possession. I had it 45 55 split. So they're the
okay, but the
45.
shots just aren't coming.
No, they won't get
Right.
in deep. So
Okay. So let me hit you with this. I'm a big fan, as I'm sure you are, and a lot of people. You got to pay attention, right? Offensive line injuries, how that maneuvers week to week. I did not know this that Baltimore's offensive line coach, or maybe I did and I forgot, but he passed away. So they replaced him, right, with a guy named George Warhop.
yeah,
And I didn't know who George Warhop was until I came across this. 18 years of coaching offensive lines. Warhop has only been on one team that finished the season with a winning record. 2016, Bucks went 9-7. 18 years, he's only been on four teams that finished with winning spread records. Over
wow,
that same time, his offensive lines have finished 29th or worse. The offenses, part of me, have finished 29th or worse in scoring 9 times. Teams with Warhop coaching their offensive lines have gone 86, 203, and 1 straight up. 127, 153, and 10 against the spread since '05. Again, these aren't tell all numbers nor trends. You take it for what it's worth. I'm just giving you what I read,
yeah,
including 27 and 31 straight up, 18, 36, and 4 ATS as a pick 'em or favorite. Look, I don't think this spells the end because you have a player in Lamar Jackson who is special enough, you can argue, that if you do have issues with your offensive line, he is creative, talented, athletic, smart enough to make something work. But I think this is a tough transition year to bring in a guy who does not have that proven track record in a position that had a sense of comfort, especially charged with protecting
yeah,
Jackson. And again, I don't think it's the tell all reason. You can start to add in some others, like how tough this division is going to be, and Cleveland being a sleeper, and now Pittsburgh, depending on what happens with their quarterback spot. We know it's a short leash for Russ, but I'm going under 10.5 wins for the Baltimore Ravens at even money. And that's probably the best number that you're going to find. And I think at even money is where I'd stop. I'm not
okay,
laying any juice for this, but I'm confident to put something in here on that.
yeah, no, that works for me. Um, I think that the Ravens last season exceeded expectations. It's always hard to kind of continue that year after year where you're pushing the envelope. Their win total last year was like 7 or 8.5, and now you're requiring them to win 2 more games. It was 8.5. You're requiring them
Right.
to win 2 more games in their last season projection.
I'm with it. Cool. We end on a positive note. There you have it. 6 plays to look at. Future play right around the corner, and then a couple tonight that you can take full advantage of at Mr. Brad Thomas. Check him out across the board, including, of course, the GoldBoys Discord at shanderbets. You can find me over at OddsShopper. Check me out on Twitter. You can find out how to get there, including a nice little discount. That's all I got, brother. Thanks
Dude,
to
it was
Straight,
fun.
of course.
That was fun, man.
Good. Good. I'm glad you had fun because if you didn't, you'd let me know, right?
I
Like,
would.
yo,
I actually I would
this
be
shit
like, "Yo,
was
this
not
shit was
fun, man.
stupid."
All right. Thanks to everybody out there. As always, we appreciate the community being involved here. We'll be back next week as we get ready for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, all of that soon to come. Don't worry. We got Thursday, Friday football to open up the schedule, but we'll be in our nice regular routine moving forward. See ya.